So here's a situation a lot of us in modular probably find ourselves in pretty often. You've made an amazing generative patch with a million different things going on, but when it comes down to it, you can't actually use that patch in like a track, or at least I can't within the kind of music that I actually want to be making for finished stuff. There's always a bit of a disconnect between patches that are fun to make and the music that you'd like to be making. In this patch, I really came up against that problem, and I sort of found a solution of how I could reshape the sort of generative fun patch into something that was actually a bit more usable by creating silence in there and creating some space for the extra sounds. So let's jump in. So the core of this patch is one sequence just being played by one of the channels on the Buchla Dual Oscillator. The output of that is going into the ES9, but a duplicate of it is also going into the Squid Salmple. The Squid Salmple, every 4 bars, records what's going into the input, which means whenever the sequence going to this changes, the sample in the Squid Salmple also changes, but that's on a bit of a delay because it takes a while to record. So then there's 2 channels of the Squid Salmple, which are basically playing whatever's going into the Squid Salmple's record input, repitched so they're playing back faster. There's an element of random in the original sequence. It means that every time the main sequence on the Buchla Oscillator has a random note rather than the expected note, that's then reflected later in the pitched up versions of that sequence that the Squid Salmple is playing. So they're always interrelated. There's then Platts just playing another drone, as well as the other channel on the Buchla Oscillator playing a drone. So there's all of those playing together. Now, this is the kind of sound you really often make, and it sounds amazing and it's really fun, but it's also very difficult to make it into a sort of usable track or use these sounds, at least within the kind of music that I would actually like to listen to. So here's what I've done on this occasion to try and sort of make that into something usable. I've taken that whole mixture of like sort of spaghetti oscillator randomness, panned all of the different elements that are playing from left to right, sent them out 2 outputs of the ES9. Now you could just send all of these parts into a mixer and do this with the mixed version of all of the outputs. The reason I've done it with the ES9 is because in this small system I just don't have a small mixer or any mixer at all. Those 2 outputs then go into channels 1 and 2 of the Make Noise LXD. There's then a sequence of gates going into the maths, and the envelope coming out of maths triggers both channels on the LXD, which means that instead of like a constant random noise, we can turn that into something where you just hear these small sections of it, which is much more interesting to listen to than just a constant, never-ending generative thing, or at least it's much easier to fit other musical elements around it, because what I've created by using the gate to only let it through for a few elements of time is space. Here's what that sounds like going through the gate. Now I can change the sequence. And there's also random notes, so I can increase the probability of the random. But I keep the rhythm that the gate's opening to the same. I can change the attack and decay on the envelope. And then it's just a matter of, say, adding in a kick. Basilius Terratus Alter is doing the kick here. You know, it's really basic sound, just a few harmonics, low pitch, very quick decay time. Squid Salmple doing some hi-hats. I think that's just a 909 hi-hat. And there's Fracture doing some claps. actually just done in Ableton this time, just to add a bit more melodic interest.